Bearded Biomed.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Bearded Biomed here, sitting on the couch, and we're going to do something just a little bit different than, the normal episodic content for you guys. So, quick little backstory before we get started today. The last MDX I went was in Houston earlier this year, and, the sole purpose, or at least one of the purposes of the show, is to facilitate content that is for the betterment of the biomed field. And part of that, I think, will encompass product reviews that can assist us in our day-to-day jobs and make our life easier. And one of the, most used things that we utilize as biomeds in our day-to-day job are test equipment. So a company that I've really wanted to dive more into and get more familiar with is Pronk. Very well known at this point. I think a lot of people have either tried one of their devices or, maybe utilized several devices. My prior experience to Pronk has only been with the SimCube. I believe it's the SC3. The bottom tier, just NIBP, capability. So I went ahead and approached the guys at the booth, and I was like, "Hey, I love what you guys do. They're prior biomeds themselves, so biomeds that are designing something to optimize and increase efficiency for other biomeds, I'm all about." So went ahead and sat down, spoke to the guys, and they're like, "Hey, let's send you the BMET Pro backpack so you can see what we're doing, why we're doing it, and just give us your honest opinion." So from that point, for the past several months before season 3 started, and now obviously season 3, I have been rocking the BMET Pro backpack in the field. And, I want to give you guys my take on my experiences with each of these devices, and not only mine. I actually put this pack in the hands of several of my brand new technicians, like straight out of biomed school, and see what their thoughts were and, their experiences and how they just pick up and ran with things. So I'm excited to share this today. It's been, I wanted to give myself enough time to see if there were any kind of failures, any kind of nuances that I needed to describe. But to start off, let's talk about the backpack. I really dig the backpack because, one, it's got lots of storage. Two, it's designed for the usage of the equipment itself, and I'll show you what I mean. So at the very top here, you have a storage for several devices. You got a little side pocket here, which I've utilized to put my extra ECG clips in. And then here in the front pocket, you can store extra batteries, your AA's, your 9 volts, your AAA's, whatever you might need. And then there's another side pocket right here, which I actually utilize to store my tachometer in. Because obviously Pronk doesn't make everything to test everything we do out there. But so I store my Fluke thermometer in here, and then I got my tachometer. And then here in the front is where the main meat and potatoes are. I mean, it's a backpack. We don't need to get too too in depth about it, but I appreciate that they they made the backpack to coincide and work with their devices. And you'll see more of that once we get more in depth to it. So first off, let's open up the top here. Of course, I got all my labels, all my asset tags, etc. Because my goal with this was literally pick up the backpack and go. I don't need to grab anything else to head out into the field. With the caveat of, obviously, Pronk does not make a defib tester or an electrocautery tester, so an ESU analyzer. So some days when, for instance, when I'm going out to a surgery center or sites that have, the biphasic defibrillation, I would still have to carry those in my hands and throw it all in a cart anyway. I still rock a cart even though I got the backpack. I just take the backpack, put it right on top of the cart, open up the slots, and I'm ready to rock and roll. So, first thing I want to talk about is this badass little guy right here. So, obviously, it's small, right? Which coincides with the name. This is the SL8-Sim Slim. I got to say, there is a lot of redundancy with some of the devices over at Pronk because several of their devices have ECG capability. However, this guy stands by itself and for good reason, and I would highly recommend it for several reasons. So, first thing is, this guy, they designed with it in mind. You do not have to replace the batteries. There is a battery stored internally into this guy that you will not have to replace for 10 years of continuous use. Let this sink in. One of the most annoying things with test equipment is that we have to obviously replace damn batteries all the time. And I do wish that they did that for the rest of their fleet, but obviously when this battery dies, you have absolutely no choice but to send this into Pronk to get the new battery put in and recertified, etc. So there's a scale tip there, but I appreciate that. Just for I automatically know all I can do is grab it out of the bag and it will turn on for me all the time. So basically, turn it on. There's a little yellow button here, touchpad. You just press it down, and then once you hold down, I'd say for 3 to 5 seconds or so, you're going to start getting a little blue blinking light. And what that does is that light indicates to you what current setting you have on your device. Because this can do your multiple different types of programs. Actually, you do your heart steps, your BP steps, several arrhythmia modes, and what I appreciate about too, it's even got a temperature on here as well. It's got a little graph on the back, so you can see all the capabilities that come with it, which is great. I mean, all ECG testers, all EKG testers have some monicum of different step downs from if you want to go from 80 BPM to 120 to 240 whatsoever. Damn near all of them have that capability. Simple use, right? So I hand this to my technician. They saw the mode button, told them just hold it down. And basically to change the settings, you just double click that button and it goes to the next one and tells you immediately that you're in the next setting. And then after you stop using it, it'll turn itself off. One of my favorite things about this is the engineering aspect of this. So what is one of the banes of our existence, biomeds, when it comes to us having to check the ECG leads is the damn clips. Not all clips are as great as others. Most of the time when we end up checking them, they're caked with gunk, they're broken, they're cracked. They don't play nice with our particular set points here for them to click onto there and hold, or they don't click at all because the springs are starting to wear out. What Pronk did is in between each of these set points, they have little valleys, little grooves in between each one. So you can take the actual banana clip and slide it into there, and it's going to make automatic contact with that set point. So you don't even have to worry about clips if you really don't want to, clip them on here directly. You can just slide the banana clips themselves into each ridge and not have to jack with it. I still carry extra ECG clips just because, I like to be prepared, but that is a nuanced approach to that I have not seen other companies utilize. So that right there, that is, a simplistic change to make something more efficient to where we don't have to spend more time setting up the testing process. So you get a little beard award for that, Pronk. I love that design capability. Overall, I was incredibly impressed with this. I would say, again, when I alluded to the redundancy of them having multiple device test equipment with ECG capability, you may not necessarily find this is the best bang for your buck if you also need other test devices, which I'll go over with as we go through this bag. But if you were in the market specifically looking for something to test EKGs for patient simulation, get this. This is badass. It's awesome, and it's not going to fail you. And it's I mean, it's solid. You're not gonna break it. I mean, unless you're like throwing it down on the floor or something. It's very well made. It doesn't bend. It doesn't curve. It's solid. All right. So next off, I had no experience with this prior, just like the little ECG tester, but I was wondering how my experience with this was going to be, just because I've had good and bad experiences with different types of IV testers in the past. Uh, First thing, what the number one thing we think of with Pronk is that their stuff is it's sized down. It's made so it's not cumbersome to carry. I think that is like one of the biggest identity points when you think of Pronk stuff is that it's compact, but you still get the same efficiency that you would from other devices. And this holds true for this. This is the FlowTrax FT2 IV pump tester. So first off, going forward, the reason I did the Sim Slim first is all the devices going forward in this pack have the capability to coincide with the usage of the Mobilize app. So if you're unfamiliar with the Mobilize app, before I get into this, you can download the app through the Google Play Store, Apple iStore, whatever, and install it onto your tablet or your phone, and you can connect to each of these test devices wirelessly. Uh, Basically, when you're running the test, it'll generate reports for you. What I appreciated about this is Pronk saw where the field is going, and I mean, one of the biggest trends right now with test equipment in general is they love toting that stuff can um, create reports real time while you're testing stuff. And Pronk has sought that, they've done it, and they did it in a simplistic way. So you can get yourself a little true asset ID tag system, and they've partnered with Pronk to where you're utilizing their database to coincide with the test equipment. Literally, you could take your phone, you could take your tablet, and they sent me this program as well, so I can print out a couple tags. And what you do is you take the tablet. Of course, my tablet died because I was using it so much, but um, take the tablet, you scan the tag, and if you have that information already inputted into the system, it's going to pull up all the data. So let's say you're there testing a Plum 360, right? Scan the true asset tag, it pulls up the data, and it's going to go through all the set points. So as you're doing this, you're utilizing the test device. You are essentially knocking out your documentation same time. So that's less steps that you're having to do after the fact. Um, I can see where this can be really beneficial, utilizing that Mobilize app for folks that don't have a CMMS system in general, that don't have a high tier database to collect those set points and test points. Um, I would argue you could probably go ISO certification with the Mobilize app, because if you were to look into it, it gives you all the test points based on OEM specification and testing procedures, right? But what's cool about the report is it lists out each test that you got, even for electrical safety, all of your pressure occlusion, stuff like that. But it lists at the very top of that report the test equipment used, the ID tag on that test equipment, serial number, and the last date it was calibrated. Which, when you're speaking of like Joint Commission, DMV, stuff like that, like this is putting it all in one pretty document on every single work order of every single device you're testing. So I thought that was pretty badass. Now, my company in particular probably wouldn't utilize it just because we have a very robust CMMS system that we pay a lot of money for. But I could see the Mobilize and Pronk partnership giving capabilities to maybe a lot of different entities in the biomed ecosystem, whether from a OEM standpoint or a field service third party or even in-house biomed, or if you wanted to go out into business for yourself, start up your own biomed company. This would be the best way I think I would recommend um, for utilizing. Get yourself, I don't know how many how many techs you're going to be able to afford when you're starting your own biomed company, but grab yourself one of these packs that utilizes the Mobilize app, and you can literally get really big bang for buck value by utilizing those two things. So back to this guy. One of the things I hate about prior IV pump testers that I've worked with in the past is they're bulky as hell. Menus are just ridiculous to traverse sometimes. One of the things that Pronk totes about this bad boy is you can get through an entire testing process in 3 minutes on this guy. It's really simple to use too. I mean, you have your zero pressure, your different units, stop, pause, your different functions, your flow reset. You can quick prime through this. I appreciate as well the ease of maintenance on this guy. So if you pop open this little door that slides up, you see you got 2 tubes right here. This is where all the bells and whistles are, I guess you would say. So let's say you're done for the day testing all your IV pumps. You just take your little finger, pop this out, tubes lift up, and you're going to run your cleaning solution through here, so they give you a flush bottle, which, by the way, this tells you right when you start it up, use distilled water only. I would kind of hope that people have enough common sense, but kudos to them for actually having that on the front, menu as soon as you turn the thing on. Next thing is you will have your tube cleaning solution, which the guys at Pronk admitted to me that it's just Windex. So I appreciate that they didn't, make some like crazy special cleaning solution that you got to buy specially from Pronk, which, not saying that I couldn't see that capability eventually coming to other test equipment out there, just because people like to wring every dollar from every customer they can, but Pronk's not about that. So I appreciate, them just making it a simple cleaning solution. So anyway, after you clean it, let it dry. You're going to pop it back in here, slide the door back down, and it's ready to go. This is what I was talking about. This takes 2 AA batteries. Not a big deal. I mean, it does come with, AC power adapter too, if you wanted to go that route. I'm kind of over nowadays the AA, AAA 9-volt battery craze that's been going on for so long. Me personally, I would be okay with sending stuff in if it utilized this lithium battery that, lasts 10 years, just because it's less things you have to worry about going wrong in the field. Between my EKG tester and, IV pump tester and just other things I've used throughout the years, I hate when I run out of batteries and then I got to go track down the materials manager, track down the a clinician. Hey, do you got some AA batteries somewhere? I mean, yeah, most of the time I have some extras on me, but it's just a little thing that bugs me. So um, it's not a huge gripe. It's just I still do appreciate the fact that they made this battery powered, because there's some equipment out there, that I grew up with when I first started the biomed field. You had to have it plugged in. So progress is progress. Between its ability to generate the reports for the IV pump testing and just ease of use, ease of cleaning, ease of maintenance, you can't really go wrong with this in regards to if you're needing an IV pump tester, which how often as biomeds are we just stuck with working on one IV pump? Most of the time, it's going to be we got an entire fleet we got to go through. I will say that I did not get the opportunity to do like a mass bulk of PMs from IV pumps, just because those intervals were not available to me during the time of, you know, testing out this pack. But I did do multiple singular IV pumps throughout the months that I've had it, and it never failed me. It worked great. I would be curious as to how capable it could be after back to back to back to back testing points. I mean, I've walked into PM situations where there's like anywhere from 30 to 100 IV pumps that need PM'd all at once for the month. So uh, I'd be curious if anybody has any experience with that, with this specifically. You know, if you do, comment section, and let's just spread the knowledge and wealth on that. So, by the way, a couple other things to give you too. Pronk realizes that not everybody's going to probably be comfortable with just picking it up and going, but they do give you a nice little quick start guide, how to set it up, the different controls, what different capabilities it has, and then there's a full manual as well for a lot of stuff available. And if you still wanted extra instruction and information or instructional videos and stuff on their website as well. So you do have a lot of access to resources if you weren't comfortable just picking it up and playing. One of the biggest things as biomeds that we test on a day-to-day basis, I would say, would probably be patient monitoring, blood pressure, SpO2, ECG. Like a lot of capabilities are in a lot of different devices. This is the Oxim Flex, which again utilizes Mobilize. I'll do the same thing, make you a little report. It's battery powered. It just takes one AA. Power switch is on the bottom. Click it on. You get a little heads up display right here, and you can choose your different settings. So just scroll through a couple settings I got here. I got 85%, 80 BPM, 99%, 98, 140 BPM. There's like 5 presets on here right now. Now, to get into what was so cool about this for me, a lot of SpO2 testers I've worked with over the years I've been a biomed is you have to go into the settings, you have to select the OEM of the, you know, the manufacturer of the pulse ox finger probe itself, Massimo, Core, whatever. And then you can do your readings. You have to set up your test equipment through deciding what manufacturer your particular probe you're testing. Now, what is cool about this is they designed this to have an auto detect feature. And the amount of programming that went into this, because some people probably don't realize, is the different finger probes that coincide with the different monitors. They have different pulse rates and different programming themselves to give their readings. You don't have to worry about going to input into a settings menu or whatever, what manufacturer of what probe you're trying to test. Literally just take it, set it down on here, red light blinks, it automatically reads, knows what type of probe it is, what pulse rate it is, sets whatever your setting is here. So, you know, maybe your 98, 140, and then boom, spits it out. It's a small little engineering feature that I think a lot of people overlook, but I appreciate the fact that they took the extra time in programming that feature into here, because it's just less time you're having to spend setting up your test setup. This goes the extra mile to improve that process. So whether or not you want to go out and buy this singularly, I don't know if the value is there for you. If that's something that seems cool to you because it utilizes Mobilize and it has an auto detect feature. But outside of that, if that is something that would entice you, I would encourage you to look at it. But other than that, it's going to be on a case by case basis if you find value in that or not. My first experience in general with Pronk was the SimCube, which this is a SimCube Mobilize. I had experience with the SC3. There is the SC3, the SC5, and the SimCube Mobilize. So the difference between that is the SC3 is, you know, basically bare bones. You're just going after your NIBP, right? This guy right here also has EKG testing capability on the side as well. So, and let's not forget IBP. Now, this goes back to the conversation about the Sim Slim on, do you need multiple capabilities in your test fleet, or do you care to just have one device for each thing? I think most of us, when we're purchasing test equipment or looking to upgrade our fleet, we want to get as most bang for buck as possible. And I think usually with my field technicians, we try to get multiple capabilities in one. So the fact that this does BP, IBP, and ECG, I think is a winner. If you're just looking for ECG, get the Sim Slim. If you're looking to outfit your technicians with as many capabilities to test multiple things on medical devices, this is awesome. I love it. Anyone familiar with the SimCube knows that this thing it's heavy. It's a brick. It's solid metal. Pronk is known for utilizing what we know when it comes to what test equipment needs to do into a smaller package that makes it just as efficient, but not as cumbersome when you're carrying it around. The reason they're able to do that is because they have a patent on this. So the way this works is you have a step down motor here. That step down motor hits on this cam, and there is a little, I guess I would call it a slide. And what's happening is the step down motor is going up and down. It's hitting it, and the slide is sliding down onto the tubing here. And what it's doing is it's pulsating, and then that's what it's doing to generate your BP level. So if you're 120 over 80 or your Neo 70 over 40, they're taking a how can we improve something that's already been done by multiple companies for years and make it small, compact, easy to use. I will argue for blood pressure monitors, for BP, IBP, what this is doing, you can't get much simpler in utilizing this or not. I mean, it's pretty plug and play. Which, by the way, they come with the little battery doohickey. If you didn't want to plug it into the wall, just hit on. Oh, look, I got power. You only have to press one button to set up your settings. So I have 120 over 80 set up right now. I'm in a children's wing. Hit the big yellow button. Oh my gosh, that's all it took. Which also I appreciate they have on here a manometer and a leak test. I feel like when anybody thinks of Pronk, they will always think of the SimCube just because to me it's their coup de grace. It does so much. It exemplifies everything they strive for. Now, I would offer a challenge to Pronk in regards to their test equipment. So you got the Mobilize, you got, all these things that communicate through a wireless app and everything. Great. Let's take this to the next level and design a piece of test equipment that continues that discussion of compartmentalization as well as bringing value as much as possible, bang for buck. So we got this one device that is doing your, SpO2 respiratory. And you got BP, IBP, ECG. That's my challenge to you guys. If you could make something that includes this capability with everything you have in this, I think a lot of people would buy it. I imagine the cost would be probably mid-tier or higher, but think about it. You are basically getting every damn capability you need to test a patient monitor outside of CO2, which if you guys were able to do the little CO2 on here as well to, measure or at least do a calibrate CO2 sensor, I think that would be like game changing. Like nobody in the industry could probably touch you guys just because you would have something that could be carried in one hand that does all of these test features that a lot of other ones aren't doing. So I hope to see that someday. I won't even ask for a for a stipend or anything, commission for my idea. But I hope to see that because I think that'd be really cool and a lot of people would appreciate that. So before we kick it off and leave today, I have to talk about the final piece of test equipment in this bag, which is my favorite piece of test equipment in this bag. In the very center, you have the safety sim. So a lot of us have experience rocking the old school big block. It's got the little dial switches, the little toggles, the little red LCD display for you to read all of your power cord resistance, leak chassis, earth round, all that, fun stuff. I would still recommend that just because it's a workhorse. It'll never fail you. But if you were looking for something that is going to elevate your game in regards to electrical safety testing, this has improved my workflow and just my overall experience with electrical safety. Let's be honest, as biomeds, we understand the importance of electrical safety, but it can be tiresome sometimes just because the number one baseline thing that all biomeds should know how to do or do on a day-to-day basis is an electrical safety test. So how can we optimize this is what Pronk thought. Well, first off, again, mobilize. That was probably my favorite report on Mobilize to look at. I did, electrical safety on multiple devices. Back to the Sim Slim and also the SimCube. This has ECG capability as well. So if you're looking for something, if you have a technician that needs an electrical safety analyzer and an ECG tester, right here. The idea to make this as simplistic as possible and not have to, turn all these knobs and press all these buttons and go through all these settings, I thought was pretty nuanced. So first off, this can run off of 2 AA batteries in the back. Now, if you're wanting to obviously test ground resistance of a medical device power cord, you still got to plug that into the side here, right? Which they have. Now, if you don't have a couple AA batteries to run in the back, that's fine. They have actually gone the length of giving you a really long 120 volt power cord. And when I say long, I'm not kidding. I mean, this bad boy is probably, I don't know, 6 feet or so. It's pretty long. I don't know if everybody's had the experience like me to where you need to do an electrical safety test on something, and it's just not far enough after you've plugged in the equipment's cord to reach an outlet. So then you got to unplug it and then go around and plug into another outlet. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one. I haven't had to worry about that when I have a cord this long, which I did use this on both plugging it into outlets as well as AA, just because I wanted the experience of both. I would probably recommend using on AA if you as a preference, just because cords again can be kind of cumbersome. But anyway, I have 2 AA's in there right now. Turn this thing on. You just hold down the start button, and it will pop on. Pronk Technologies. All right. So the menu is very simple, which it's a safety tester. It doesn't need to be exuberant and sexy, right? Starts off, you have your ground resistance, you have your leak normal polarity, your reverse polarity, and then you can review all that data. And on top of that, once you hit start, it's going to take you in that first test, right? After you finish that test and you get that reading, you hit start again. It takes you to the next test. It gives you an automatic reading. You hit start, takes you to the next test, gives you an automatic reading. And if you have this already running through Mobilize, it's doing that real time, putting all those values on that report. So to me, that is less me having to move my fingers, less me having to worry about changing settings. It's literally click, 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 ready to go. All right. So let's say we were using this on an EKG, right? I did all my electrical safety tests. It's all in the report. Everything passes. Everything's pretty. Oh, I still got to test the actual capability of the EKG. You press safety sim. It takes you to the setting, heart rate. Do I want it 60 BPM? Do I want to set a respiratory rate of a certain number? It's so simplistic, and it's less menus I'm having to navigate. It's less it's less being a pain in my ass to get. I do not want to spend extra time setting up my test equipment when I'm already having to spend time going through and testing each individual device. So the fact that Pronk had that in mind to make things as quick and as seamless as possible while not compromising attention to detail, that's what impressed me the most out of everything in this bag. Like, I think as biomeds, we want to be able to have equipment that does what we need it to do to be reliable, but we don't want it to be so exuberant to where you have like 50, 60 different buttons on the damn test equipment to where you have to figure out what it needs to do. You shouldn't have to whip open a manual to figure out how to use simple test equipment. I also don't agree with test equipment being so damn expensive, you're never going to get approval to budget for it in the first place. I think Pronk has done a great job at creating devices for biomeds by biomeds that are seeing how we can improve things in the field in in-house programs for OEMs, biomeds in general, to make things as easy as possible without compromising anything. And they've done that through, just engineering the hell out of all of their equipment, making it compatible with the Mobilize app through utilizing True Asset CMMS. And I think it all marries beautifully. Overall, my only gripes are just little tiny things. Like I would like more battery range, possibly stacking more capabilities into one device just to make it that more value worthy. So overall, I will give the BMET Pack Pro bearded seal of approval. The idea that there is something that a technician can throw on his back, head out to do a good day's work of ensuring patient safety, and not have to worry about if you're going to have the capability or the reliability to get the job done. So overall, I'm very happy that this is out there for consumption for biomeds. And if you want to learn more about it, or if you have questions, or if you have your own experiences, I would love to hear about them in the comment section. Because to me, this is everything that a biomed could want. Over your shoulder, ready to go, hit the day, and do what we do. So I hope you appreciated the video. I had a great time reviewing all the products from Pronk. I appreciate you guys and your willingness to send me this pack so I could review it. I think it's definitely something that people should consider. I hope that I get to see more and more features and capabilities added in these small compact spaces, because you guys are leading the charge in that. So feat of engineering does not scoot by me. I can appreciate and see the nuances built into this pack. So as always, I appreciate your support. I appreciate you watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can always check me out at beardedbiomed.com. Until next time, may the beard be with you.
Bearded.